Hello, everyone. I'm super excited today. We're taking our EddieHub infrastructure to even the next level. We're going to be looking at logging today and some exciting graphs in Grafana. But, enough from me. Let me introduce my amazing guest, David, who's been helping us along on this awesome and exciting journey. And while David does the introduction to himself, what we're going to be doing today, the technologies we're going to be using, I want to share my screen and share some links in the chat as well. So, David, please give yourself a shout out on all the exciting things that you're doing as well.
Yeah, excited to be here. Looking forward to doing the next phase of this infrastructure project. It's been great fun. My name is David. I'm from Glasgow, Scotland, which is why I sound funny. I'm a developer advocate for a company called Pulumi. We've been using Pulumi on Eddie's last session where we did together to automate a lot of the point and click dashboard stuff that was previously used to spin up all the infrastructure. So we've been working away at that, adding one thing at a time. And I'm excited today to be adding logging and Grafana because it's one of the first things that I like to stick on all of my clusters. So it just brings that next level of observability to what we're doing. So.
I have never used Grafana, so I'm super excited. I've played with Kibana. I know it's kind of similar-ish. So I'm super excited to see this, super excited to give access to some of the maintainers, some logs. Hopefully we can get onto that. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, it's going to be super exciting. So we are going to be screen sharing, going to be showing you code, graphs, dashboard. David has been very modest. David has an awesome YouTube channel. Link, I think, is in the description below. If not, I'm going to drop it in the chat. There are links to David's Discord. Again, I can drop in the chat if you're interested in DevOps and Kubernetes and Pulumi and all that awesome stuff. And David also has an amazing conference happening in Edinburgh, Scotland in the beginning of October. There are some links below. I know I've put a couple of links in the description below. But if you need any more, let me know and I can share them in the chat as well. But I definitely have a few down there already. You should be able to find them. Definitely David's Twitter is there for sure. I know I've done that, and YouTube.
You described me better than I described me. I'm going to soundbite that and just start playing it at the start of my own streams.
That sounds good. I think we're all, you're too modest. That's what it is. But yes, but it's awesome to have you here and to learn from you. I've even got, look at everyone, I'm sharing my screen. Look at this. My fifth tab along is David's complete guide to teleport 10-hour playlist and how to get onto this. I can't wait to watch this. But you can see David is really into his YouTube and deep dive content. So I'm going to just actually drop that right in the chat now so you can all go and subscribe. Okay, thanks everyone for joining. Let's get started. There will be green squares for you. I've already thought of some before the live stream has started. But I want to hand over to David, who is in my VS Code. And we're going to give David a follow on VS Code and see what he's going to be up to.
All right, let me just make sure I have the permissions that I need.
Make this a bit bigger for everyone.
/root, right?
No. Fine, it's okay.
I actually did that once at a talk at a conference. I was showing off Docker containers and said, oh, you can do like stupid things like rm-rf root, and I wasn't in a container.
Oh no. Does the operating system prevent that, or did it actually delete it?
I was very lucky. I didn't use the... Oh, you can't see the one I'm typing in the terminal. Which one are we in? This one?
Oh, I'm in the wrong one. You're in the right one. Go ahead. Yep.
Nope.
Oh, have you switched the first one? The first terminal. I'm not changing terminals. I want to stay in the same one. No, you've got access to the second one, maybe? No, we can't see any of yours. Let's delete some. Oh, there we go. I saw that. There we go.
All right. Yeah, there's a nice flag that got added to the kernel. You need to actually pass this now to delete the root directory. So
okay.
I didn't do that. I got very, very lucky.
Okay, sounds good. Shall we give a quick few minutes rundown on where we've got to and what tech we're using and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, let's do that by taking a look at some of the code that we've written so far. So, okay. I mean, there is one disclaimer for today. There was an issue with the DigitalOcean API this morning. So we had to remove cluster creation. This is actually kind of cool as well, is that Eddie and I have been able to shut this down and spin it back up whenever we want, because we're still in that kind of experimental phase. And we were able to spin up a cluster but the API that returns the credentials was broken on the DigitalOcean side. So we have this nice big warning saying do not do this in production, but we were able just to download the kubeconfig, and we can still have Pulumi work and engage with that cluster, even if it's not the way that we would prefer. However, DigitalOcean have since fixed this API today, but we're just not brave enough to update it 2 minutes before we go live. I certainly was not feeling brave enough to update it before we go live. So we're using Pulumi for everything here. What's nice about Pulumi, if you missed the last session, is you can use your favorite programming language to deploy your infrastructure. So we're using mostly TypeScript here, but if we wanted to, we could use Python, Java, Go, C#, F#, any of the supported .NET languages, and even any of the Java JVM languages. So if you really want to write your infrastructure in Visual Basic .NET or Scala, you can absolutely go nuts. However, TypeScript is a pretty sweet language because of the type system, and its ability to work with arbitrary objects in JSON. So I'm a big fan of TypeScript for infrastructure. One last thing on the kind of Pulumi plug side is you'll see that all these functions are being called. I mean, Eddie made these functions, right? He's now defining what the API for the infrastructure looks like. So when you see that there's a function called domain, it's because he created a function called domain, and that happens to register a domain with DigitalOcean and set up a DNS record. So using a programming language instead of a DSL means that you build your own compositions, you build your own abstractions, and it's your fault when none of it works. That's the best part. So there's the overview where we are. We have a cluster, we've got a domain registered, a load balancer. Eddie has deployed a couple of his applications, link-free finder and an API. But what we want to do today is you're really keen that we provide monitoring, alerting, and observability into this cluster so that anyone can take a look at the logs and see what is going on.
Exactly. So at the moment, only I have access, excuse me, on DigitalOcean. And so I have to, excuse me, I have to go in and log in and check these. So it'd be great for other people to have certain access to do this. Maybe we can give Team Eddie more read access if they want to see stuff. I don't know. We'll see what people think. But once we've got the infrastructure in place, or the foundations, I should say, we can be more flexible.
Sounds good. All right, let's get started then.
Let's do it.
So the first thing, let's talk about the tech stack that we're going to deploy. Currently, this is my preferred tech stack. Grafana, I think, is just an absolutely wonderful tool. It is a single pane of glass for all operational needs, and they're even pushing Grafana beyond that now. Like, I'm starting to see more and more people look at Grafana as a tool for big data, machine learning, and other types of workloads. So pushing it beyond just graybeard Linux admins that wanted to see how their CPU is doing, but pushing it because it's got this platform for working with time series data, which is really nice. So we use that as a visualization there. This will also give us query builders for querying logs, querying metrics, which we'll probably use Thanos or Prometheus. I don't know if you have a preference to either. I'm indifferent when it comes to both. For logs, we're going to use Loki. Now, I do think Elasticsearch and Kibana are fantastic products, but they are, at the end of the day, JVM applications. And running the JVM in containers has a lot of challenges that if you just want to be able to run stuff in your cluster and forget about it and just leave it and hope that it works, it's usually good advice to avoid the JVM. It's not because the JVM is bad, let me clarify. The JVM is very great and very good at optimizing things over days, weeks, and months, but containers typically don't have that lifespan. So they're being killed and rescheduled all the time as your nodes are ephemeral and spinning up and spinning down, and you need workloads that work well in that kind of environment. The JVM has been making changes, especially since JVM 11, to support control groups, which is like a Linux API for restricting the access to the CPU and the memory. But I still just prefer to avoid it whenever possible. So that's why I'm pushing us down this one. It's a very popular stack. I think it's almost ubiquitous. I think everyone's running Grafana that has a Kubernetes cluster, which is a bold claim, but at least a healthy majority of those people, I would imagine, have a Grafana installation. And Loki is definitely getting very, very popular. When I go to KubeCon, for instance, the tech stack, as you're talking to people there, is Loki and Grafana and Thanos and Prometheus. So we're going to go with that stack. And I hope some of those words make sense to people and I'm not just saying random Greek gods and other stuff.
No, I think that sounds good. And when we give them a demo, I think they understand it a lot better. And great to see people, saying hi in the chat. Abhishek, great to have you here. Maxim, Showrun Tech, Andrew. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. We were on a Discord call the other day with David. Welker, hopefully I pronounced that. Awesome to have you here. And yeah, well, let's learn more about these Greek gods and these are the tech stacks we're going to use. We do have very interesting names, I think, in tech. People do find it quite funny when I say things to people or friends, and they're like, "You're just making names up." But no, there are real things. So I'm super excited, and there'll be green squares because we need to have some documentation added to the README of the project, and we'll be able to tidy up these functions later on as well. So.
All right, well, I'm just typing away. I created a directory called monitoring, so we'll keep all of our monitoring stack in a single place. I've created a grafana.ts. We are going to import star as Kubernetes from Pulumi Kubernetes because we have to deploy some stuff to our cluster. And we'll do export const deploy grafana. I don't think we really need any parameters, and we're going to do something. Now, this is the Helm repository add command from the Grafana documentation. That came from...
Load up this page as well.
I'll just stick it in the private chat because I'm not logged in for commenting on YouTube. Oopsie. But it's there if you want to share. So this is just the Helm charts page from the Grafana repository. So we need to be able to describe what that deployment looks like. And where's my code? There we go. What we want to do is a new Kubernetes. Wow! I was telling Eddie that my VS Code has been fucked for weeks because I can swear, right? That's all right.
No, you can't swear on my streams. No, you cannot.
Of course you do.
I've been bleep messed up.
Yeah, none of my VS Code has worked for weeks because I've been on macOS Ventura beta. But from today, at least I've noticed with Code Insiders, I have autocomplete and stuff now, and Copilot is back. All of this stuff was broken for weeks. I'm very happy right now.
I bet.
And I lied. We are going to take one parameter here. It's unlikely we're going to have multiple Grafana deploys. However, we don't want to hard code a string in here for the name, so we're going to pass it in just in case we did deploy a second Grafana for whatever reason and then removed an older one. So we just want to make sure this function can be called more than once, even though we don't expect it to be called more than once. All right, so now we say chart Grafana. Copilot's doing it. I don't need to do anything right now. We're going to do repo.
I don't think we see your Copilot on this side, so you could get away with it, thinking you're just.
You just think of a super fast typer.
Yeah.
Like, watch this. I'm going to type version.
Wow, one click of a button as well. Nice.
All right, so we got repo. I thought it was repo ops, but I'll trust you. And we pass this in here. And then next we need the version. I'm in the wrong resource. Okay, so let me cover this. Copilot put in a v3 chart, and I didn't realize. I actually wanted v3 release.
Okay.
So the way this is always really confusing. I feel like if I tell you why it's confusing, I'm going to be oversharing and confusing you more. But I'm going to tell you anyway. And if you don't want to listen, just stick the fingers in the ears. It doesn't matter. I would encourage people to always use Helm v3 release because this uses the actual Helm as a library in Go and applies it to the cluster the same as using the Helm CLI. Helm chart was Pulumi's first implementation, which actually uses Helm template to generate the YAML and then apply it to the cluster. The reason we did it that way first is so that when you run Pulumi preview, we can show you all the resources that we're going to create. But with Helm release, we just let you use Helm. So most people probably just want that latter.
Makes sense. No, that makes sense.
Which means I do have... Sorry, on you go.
I was going to say, I think you explained that well. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's just... Copilot's so good. Anyway. So we can say we want to deploy the Grafana chart. These are our repository options. We just need to tell it where the repository is. The next thing we can do is define our values file. Now this could be anything. In order to work out where those values come from, what we do is we go to the chart README, which I'll share the link with Eddie. And this tells you everything you configure. Now, we may not have to configure anything. We could probably go with a very, very vanilla deploy. But I'm just going to quickly scan this to make sure that there's nothing obvious that I think we need.
Yeah, so these commands can be run on the command line, but we're doing it via Pulumi, so we're putting it in code, which I think is great because you can add it to your GitHub, you can version it, you can get some green squares for it as well. So that's super cool, and you get to see these configurations. So you've got values, and then you put in persistence enabled. So if we look down, if I search for persistence, here you go, persistence not enabled, and we just make that into a TypeScript or JavaScript object.
Yep.
By default, it's false. We're putting it into true. Awesome.
All right, so we can configure data sources and stuff here, but I'm not too fussed about that right now. The only thing I am worried about is I just wanted to enable the persistence. So this means that when our Grafana pod disappears and comes back, we don't have to reconfigure it. So I think what we have there is enough to get us a working Grafana.
Yes.
Now, Grafana does have authentication.
Okay.
I don't see any way to set up the username within the Helm chart. So that just means the first time we browse to it, it's either going to give us a username and password, which may be happening in the template files. We could check if we need to, or it's going to ask us to create an account. So I reckon what we do is just spin this up and we see what happens.
Sounds good. I think it sounds exciting. I like that. Let's do it.
All right, so I'm going to jump down to here and we're going to say import from monitoring Grafana create, oh no, deploy. Yeah, there we go. And we'll do deploy Grafana. And we'll call this, oh yeah, we need to pass in. See, oh, I don't know if could you see that? No,
I missed that, no.
So on my screen, it's actually telling me that I want a second parameter with the Kubernetes provider because we forgot it. So Copilot knows that our function needs the Kubernetes provider. In fact, I'm just going to hit tab.
Nice.
So it's actually fixing my shitty code, which I like. So, so we'll modify this function to take the provider because you know it's right. We do need to.
We do. We make this mistake every time, and it modifies the wrong cluster.
All right, and then we add that here. So we say provider, Kubernetes provider. Cool. Thank you, Copilot. So we've got a red file. Oh yeah, import star from Kubernetes. I was wondering why we had a red squiggle.
Oh no, we've got two froms now.
As,
so,
sorry.
As, yep.
Cool. Which fixes all the other squiggles. That's now happy. Save that file. We should be able to run Pulumi preview. Now, if this cluster is where we left off, which I suspect it will, the only thing this has to deploy is, in fact, our Grafana cluster.
We'll make that a bit bigger. And while that's running, let's shout out to Faradis. Awesome to have you here. And Carl, awesome to have you here as well. I was speaking to Carl earlier today saying we're getting closer on this infrastructure as code, but tomorrow we're trying to spend some time actually coding on some of our projects as well. Okay, let's look at this. So this will give us Grafana, but we haven't got any data going into Grafana yet. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're just going to spin it up. We're going to port forward to it the old classic way. Make sure we can hit what we need to. Then we'll get Loki deployed. We'll set that up as the data source. And then our third step for centralized logging is to deploy Promtail to the cluster. Promtail runs as the daemon set and all of the nodes, collects all of the logs and writes them to Loki. And Grafana will allow us to query and visualize that. So.
Awesome. Sounds good. I know Carl is one of the people who maintains quite a few of EddieHub projects and also needs access to logs sometimes. And yeah, it'd be good to get the logs available to at least the maintainers and maybe more as we go through. So yeah, super excited to have Carl's, well, everyone's feedback on this, but particularly Carl's as well. So it should be good.
I see Andrew in the chat asked about the MongoDB secrets. We did change that, right?
Yes, that's a good point actually. So while that's running, David made some massive improvements. I spent many hours doing it, and David comes along and goes, yeah, that works, but you know, if you do this, it makes it a lot better, and yes, considerably better. So in the secrets, I had stuff not hard coded. I set it in Pulumi. I think Andrew, you were around for this. I set it in Pulumi as a secret, and I try to read it in by getting the secret from Pulumi and then reading it in to the Kubernetes cluster. And then David said, well, it can actually randomly generate all of these and make everything that needs to be aware of it. And that sounds a lot better. So yeah, this is what it looks like.
All right, let's see. So that's run. Let me see if this is the correct cluster. All right. So
by the way, Mongo didn't get saved if you made changes to it.
Oh no, just let's just close that. Yeah. So we have this in a local file. Yep.
I will share the link to the repo. This is what we're working on at the moment. Oh, we're doing logging at the moment. So let's have a look. Centralized logging, that's what we're doing at the moment. Let me share this link in the chat. We need some improvements to our readmes. If anyone wants to make any of those, let us know and I'll get those merged in. GitHub repo. Repo in the link. And, you know, while everyone's looking in the chat for the repo link, I want to also again share David's awesome YouTube channel. Remember correctly, the entire thing uses standard out to catch the logs, right? Yes. So you don't need to make any changes to the code. That's a great question. I think you asked in the last stream, and if I remember correctly, David said, "Yep, don't have to change anything. It will grab all the standard logs." So that's awesome.
Can you open a browser to localhost port 8000, please?
Let's do it. Localhost 8000. Log in. Go. Or don't go. Maybe it's just gonna kind of, you know, get stuck there. Hey Sabrina, how you doing? Awesome to have you here. Madhan, you're welcome. Hey Shubham, how you doing? Yes, contribute to open source. CNCF has some great projects. Oh, it's loading. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it took so long, but it's getting there.
And if I look at this, it would have deployed to our cluster. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're just sticking everything into the same namespace. We can discuss patterns for maybe when you would split that up later or now, whatever you want. But right now it's just deployed to our default namespace. It has a service that we're currently port forwarding to.
Cool. That says Grafana. So yeah, has it been deployed? Perfect. Okay. And the one pending, by the way, everyone, I think is just the API one that needs some. Yeah, the API one needs some more configuration from me. Okay, Grafana. Okay, username and password.
Good question. Let's read the docs.
Yeah, here we go. So username.
Now, what I think actually happens here is it creates the secret inside of the cluster. So let's check for that. I'm going to kill the port forward. In fact, I've got another terminal. Can you give me write access to that second terminal, or I can Control C?
We can do both. Do we trust David with write access is the question. Or we can do both.
So I'll need to export my kubeconfig here as well, and then run kubecontrol get secrets. I'm assuming the Helm chart just throws something in here. Yeah, cool. I'm going to copy this. Get secrets.
Hey Dean, how you doing?
And we'll describe it, and I'm assuming that we're going to see a password. Describe.
Yep, Carl, absolutely right. We probably want to put Winston and stuff in our apps, have it a lot cleaner, especially if we're centralizing them. And yeah, I think it's a good idea. It could be some move away from console logs. I think that'd be a great contributions people can do to the project as well. Once we've got Winston set up, they can go find the console logs and start changing them. So if anyone needs any green squares, there will be lots coming.
So here's something that always scares people. So this is our username and password.
Where are you looking? Sorry, you go to the other terminal. There we go. Okay.
Scroll up a little bit. And you will see the
base
base64 encoded version of our username and password.
Yep.
This is just admin. So we don't need to know that. And we'll decode this one. Now this cluster is not publicly available, so I'm not fussed about flashing the token for our stream. So I'm just going to do that, and that is our password. So you can copy that password and use the username admin to log into Grafana. And
is it without the percentage?
Without the percentage, please.
Yeah, just checking. And sorry, you were saying, so that's the password, and the username is admin?
It is. Once you've seen admin base encoded, you'd kind of just get familiar.
Yeah, fair enough. YWR, remember that, everyone. If it starts like that, it's probably looking like admin.
What's nice about this approach by not having your Grafana on the public internet is I know that you've got grand plans to get Teleport running in this cluster, and
Yes.
that would you'd be able to expose Grafana to people with access to Teleport while keeping it off of the public internet, which is nice.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So everyone who's watching, what I mentioned to David before the stream, hopefully we get time on this stream, is I'd love to create a team on EddieHub where it gives them access. So with Teleport, we can say read the GitHub users from this team, and they have access to a part of the infrastructure that we give them, and Teleport will do that. And then you can just, by logging in with your GitHub, you get access to it, which I think is going to be super exciting. Cool. Okay, we've got Grafana.
We do. So now we're going to copy and paste that entire file, and we're going to call it loki.ts because they're extremely similar. We're using Helm to deploy all of this because, you know, Grafana as a company spent a lot of time maintaining their Helm charts to make them easy for people to use. So we are definitely going to use them. So this one now becomes Loki. I believe it's the same repository, but I'll very quickly check.
Dean says no more exposed tokens. It's not publicly accessible. It's okay, this one.
Yeah, cool. Yes, cool. It's the same. So all we need to do now is understand the values that go into this. I'm going to pull the docs up for the Loki chart as well and take a look at what they offer.
Got you. Okay, while you're doing that, I'll just say, yeah, to standardize the logs, I think is a good idea. Thanks, Andrew. I've got some people agreeing, so we will prioritize that probably next week. I think it's a good idea.
All right, just looking for a persistence option to see if I need to enable that. Yep, persistence enabled true. I think that is all we actually need. So the exact same as our Grafana. So you can see we're not really doing anything fancy here. We're just deploying a Helm chart. It doesn't really need much configuration. Now we could go and add ingress controllers. We could go and add multi-tenancy or distributed components, but we just don't need to.
So a quick question on the whole, when I want to give access to other people, because we'll be using Teleport, I don't need to make it publicly available with an ingress and all that sort of stuff. Is that correct?
Nope. For those services, you hide them behind Teleport. You enable GitHub authentication, which is available on their open source tier, and awesome. It just works. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Who's excited? Right. I know I'm excited.
Well, I'm feeling pretty brave about the Loki deploy, so I'm just going to hit the button and let that go.
Let's do it. Hey, Sayam, how you doing? It's quite a small world in the whole cloud native space. Or did we get an error?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I need to change the name. So this should be, we'll call this Loki production. Probably should have called the other one Grafana production, but it's all good.
We can always rename it. That's the beauty of doing all as code. We can just remove it and re-add it, right? Because if we commented that out, it would remove it. Is that correct? Commented this line out.
Yes, it would remove it. Yes.
And then we could then rename it and it will recreate it. So yeah, people then can also improve this and, you know, collect the imports at the top, split it into separate files. Lots of awesome stuff rather than me clicking and pointing on a dashboard. Actually, I have a question for hey Sean, how you doing? Awesome to have you here. Thanks for joining. Hope you're feeling better. Yeah, David's doing so many awesome things. I mean, he's got 10-hour course on teleport as well, which I just can't wait to watch, which just sounds super exciting. Siam, how's your Pulumi skills? I want to see if I can bug David less and maybe bug you a bit more, especially if I move from DigitalOcean to Sivo. Okay, question here. Actually, this is probably a question for David. Does Pulumi deploy incrementally? My understanding is it only deploys when you run the command. Yes, you could run that command on a GitHub action, but I think we use GitHub actions to deploy the app, specifically when it's been updated. But there is something else. I can't think of the name. David was saying that you could do it, so therefore it notices the change on the repo and does a deployment. So more of a GitOps and spit out CI and CD. Is that correct, David? Did I explain that really badly?
No, that's spot on. So yeah, you can run Pulumi up. It does deploy incrementally in the fact that it doesn't deploy anything that's already deployed. So it just does what's missing. However, we do have a GitOps operator that you can run in your cluster that monitors for Git repositories and executes Pulumi programs every 4 minutes or faster if you really need. So you can kind of get to pick and choose the way that you want to work with Pulumi.
I still like the idea of doing it on a GitHub action. So each repo then does its own deployment. But I don't know if then that's creating more work because each repo now needs to have that GitHub action. I don't know. Something to think about. I'm not sure. What do you think, Carl? What do others think as well?
You can share GitHub actions now. What I've started doing is just having one and then referencing it in all my other repositories. Like I use Dagger a lot for my CI/CD now. So I just have one GitHub action file that runs Dagger, and I just keep pointing all of them to it. So you don't need to duplicate a lot of this stuff anymore, which is nice.
That's quite interesting. Yeah, I need to have a look at Dagger. I know you've got a great video on that as well. That is on my list to watch.
Oh, do not watch that video. Do not.
Oh, why?
Because it's really old. The Dagger has changed so much since then. Like none of it is the same. Literally none of it. So I was talking to Solomon just yesterday, and we're going to do another video. So
okay, cool.
Watch the new one, not don't watch the old one.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so I've added the prom tail code. We need to point this to the Loki service, so we do need this. So I don't think we need persistence for prom tail. It's just shipping logs. What we do need is Loki service name and then blah. So what we need to decide here is we can hard code it just very quickly. We can do it the proper way by passing it in from the other one. But I think just for now, because there's a lot we want to try and do in the next hour, that we can come back and remove anything that is hard coded here.
Okay, we'll just slap a to do on it, and we can do it later. Yeah, I'd love to get through some more of it and show people some exciting things.
Nice. I don't know if it. So yeah, you can kind of, you don't see my scroll, but you can see the services anyway. There's Loki production, Loki headless, and Loki member list. The headless service might be what we need here. I think we can get away without the headless service, so I'm just going to run it like so. All a headless service is in Kubernetes is a service that has no cluster IP, and it just means that when you run a dig against the service name, you actually get an entry back for all the nodes or endpoints in that service. So that's the difference between a headless and a cluster IP one.
Cool, thank you. I didn't know that, so it's good to know. I'm going to put oh shit, I typed something. Did I mess anything up?
I don't know. I jumped back into index, but we can jump back into the other file and see if you've broken anything. But
okay, I just typed / twice. I was just which file was it? It was the Loki one. No, it wasn't. Where did you put the hard coded service name?
Yeah, it's in promtool.ts.
Oh, my bad. Okay, oh shit, I'm breaking everything. Eddie, don't touch anything. I was just putting a to do because I know I'll forget. Okay, auto completed. Is that a good comment from GitHub Copilot? I don't know if it is.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate, although we're not going to be able to get that as an output because we're using Helm release and not Helm chart, so we don't actually know the resources that are created. However, it doesn't mean that we can't programmatically get the service name. It just means that we set it in the Loki deployment. So actually in here, you can set service name blah or something. So
let me follow you again. Sorry.
oh.
I typed and we lost it. There we go. Okay.
When you configure the values for this, you can override the service name. So you can generate something that's random, so it works regardless of how many times you deploy it. You can pick something that is sensible and then plug that into the prompt tail. So you don't need to always know the outputs. So using Helm release is still a really great way to do it. But for now, let's just get this working. So we want prompt tail here. I'm going to make one more change just because it's bugging me, but I really hate that these are different.
Yes.
So I'm going to actually do this and template it here. And this is just going to be, because we're in the Loki file.
Okay.
Loki. And I know it's so superficial, but those things really do get on my nerves.
Yeah, me too. So it sounds good. But then we've got one without it, right? The Grafana hasn't got it, but it's okay. We can do that next time.
Yeah, we could change that. I just don't want to force our redeploy because we've already got the username and password and stuff. So let's leave it as is for now.
Sure, makes sense.
But at least our public API hasn't changed, and that's now changing an implementation detail, which we can do whenever we want. So, all right. So let's get prompt tail deployed. Now, let me describe these three components because I know I've been kind of moving a little bit fast here. So prompt tail is a daemon set. Oh, did I really mess that up? Did I not save the file?
Prompt tail didn't get saved.
So prompt tail runs as a daemon set, which just means it runs on every single node in our cluster. It is responsible for fetching all of the logs from all of the containers and shipping them to Loki. Grafana and Loki, we will connect together. We should have centralized logging. Now, there is one thing that may cause this not to work.
Okay.
I have never worked with DigitalOcean Kubernetes before, and I do not know what restrictions they place on the nodes. However, even if we can't do it with the default deploy, there will be a way for us to get the logs. So I'm not worried. It just may not work first time.
Okay.
But we'll find
if you're not worried, I'm not worried, so it's okay.
All right, what are you yelling at? Failed to build charts.
That worked before.
Yeah, I think that's temporary blip.
Does it pull the chart on my computer or does it do it on the Kubernetes cluster?
Good question. No, it pulls it on your computer.
Oh, it does. Okay. And then we'll send it and ship it across. Okay. We've got some more questions in the chat while that is running. So let's have a look. Carl asks, silly question, which is it's not, by the way. There are no silly questions. Just silly answers from me. Is Pulumi a paid SaaS service or is it just a library? I think it's both. Is that correct?
Pulumi is an open source application for spinning up your infrastructure. Now, Pulumi has state. So whenever we run Pulumi up, it writes to a state file. The best way to store that state is not to worry about it yourself and to use Pulumi SaaS. What I will say is that Eddie is already using it and it doesn't cost any money. It's completely free for all developers. You only pay for the team edition if you want to use it within your organization. So for everyone who just wants to work on their own infrastructure, I manage all of my DNS with it, all my Kubernetes clusters because I have so many. But I manage all of my stuff with it, and I'm just on the free tier like everyone else. So there is a SaaS product that's really cool. In fact, maybe Eddie will go to app.pulumi.com and we can actually see all the cool stuff. I think we actually showed it last time too. So
we did. We can have a quick look if you want.
Yeah, it just handles all the states, so you don't need to worry about it. It gives you nice updates. You can see pretty diffs of all the changes. Yeah, here we go. You can see the update that we just ran. You can see the changes and the activity and the resources. So everything that you need to visualize what's going on in your infrastructure is there.
And that one failed 2 minutes ago, which is correct.
Yeah, and you can click on details to see the error message and all that. So not that important when you're running Pulumi up locally, but when you've got it in a GitHub action, this is actually a really good way to kind of follow along and see what's happening.
That's very true.
So yeah, it's free for all developers. Never charged, no usage limits, anything like that. But if you want to use it in your organization, then yeah, there is a small fee. Got to fund the company somehow.
Yeah. Is a question, I don't quite get this one. This view live link confuses me. What live link?
That's the Pulumi SaaS link. So if you look at your terminal, You can click on that, and
Oh,
it just means you can follow along with the update in the browser.
got you. Okay.
Again, more useful when you find that in a GitHub action and you want to click through. All right, let's do some investigations. So let's run get pods, and Promtail is a happy little camper, which means I'm pretty confident that it just worked. So now we got to hook up the magic. Although maybe I shouldn't get too confident. Maybe I should just and like just at least look at the logs once. Come on.
Error sending batch.
Well, it's trying to push the batch to Loki Gateway, which is not correct. That's not our service.
Okay.
But we can fix that. Okay, so maybe the documentation that I found was incorrect for configuring the Loki service. So let's go take a look at that. And in fact, I think what I'll do now is just go back to that charts page and look at the chart itself rather than the docs. So Promtail, and I'll send you the same thing. Don't like to look at stuff if I'm not sharing it with other people. So I'm just using this charts repository on GitHub, and I'm just going into the chart that I'm using, and there's typically always a values thing towards the bottom, and I just look and see what I need to configure. So where is the Loki config?
On the Loki chart, is that the one you're looking at?
No, the Promtail chart is the one.
Promtail one. Okay, let me open that one. Follow along. Okay, my internet is very slow today. I'm live streaming and that's fine, but for some reason, my browser, I think maybe Safari is having some. Oh, it can't open it. That's really strange. There we go. It opened. That's a Grafana one. I click on the wrong one. Is okay? So it's still Grafana.GitHub Helm charts, and but it's
yeah. If you click on, so that's going to take you to the. If you look in the private chat, I did send it.
You did. Okay, my bad. On the screen. Here we go. Thank you. Let's have a look and see what David is looking at. The config values. Here we go. A log level. That's good. Default volume. How does everyone deploy to their? How does everyone do their logging? I'd be interested to know. What do you do with your logging? What tools do you use? Everyone seems to do it different. Well, a lot of people seem to do it differently, I suppose. It was great to standardize it and especially have it as code in the repo. So if we ever want to change anything in the future, we can change things, which I think is important. Hi, Amit. Awesome to have you here. Yeah, Dean, I will actually, before I answer that, before I discuss that, Siam, when are you getting kind of S3 capabilities in Civo Cloud so I can move from DigitalOcean?
Just calling them straight out. Like...
Well, if they have a date, I don't want to put you on the spot. If you have a date, let us know when that's going to be. Yes, and then Dean uses S3 bucket. Yes, so hopefully DigitalOcean has Spaces, which is S3 bucket equivalent, and hopefully Civo will have the same as well. Siam won't mind. He'll be honest. He'll say it's not ready for a while, or it is ready, or it'll be ready soon, and we will see. So.
Yeah, I sent you one more link just because it's really bugging me.
Put the other link up.
Yeah, look at the configuration. That's exactly what I did, but it doesn't work. Now the values file looks very, very different. So I'm trying to work out what we need to drop into there. I'm actually half tempted to modify the Loki deployment just to give it that service name. Because it looks a bit easier to configure in the clients. So if it works, that decision.
If it works first time, then it's obviously not a live stream and a recorded video because then you edit it all out. So it needs to fail.
I think it might be.
Oh, cool. And S3 compatible as well. Nice.
All right, we can't modify the service name. Yeah, Loki fill name. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So we're going to jump into Loki. Going to do service full name, because that's what I found inside of the template, and it's full name lowercase. I'm really hoping that's not a helper, which it could. Oh, it is a template helper. Okay, so I need to quickly look at the template and see what that's doing. But this is just Helm chart nonsense. Value is full name override. Okay, we're going to grab that. And it's just here. And we're going to call this locate gateway. And the only reason I'm doing, I mean, this is not something that I would encourage, but the Promtail chart has almost zero documentation, and the zero documentation that it has is even wrong. So,
Okay.
do we want to spend 20 minutes going through all the templates to work out how to configure it?
No.
Not really. So, we're going to push override and actually just encourage Loki to be available at that service name.
What is worse than no documentation, everyone? Wrong documentation. So yes, I'm probably gonna make a note of that and create some tweet. I find that if documentation is wrong, then you're trusting. I'm doing what the documentation says. Why is it not working? When you don't have it, you you just look into it and you go research more. So yeah, that's my thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still looking at that Promtail page, and it's like just provide Loki service name, but we did, and it didn't do anything. So we'll get around it. We'll run get service. We'll make sure the service actually updated, and then hopefully it's just a case of jumping into Grafana and adding our data source. But we'll find out in a few moments. I see that Dean has mentioned that Minio is pretty cool. Minio is very cool. It's one of those things that the Kubernetes storage sig is actually adding blob storage as a CSI specification. So all Kubernetes clusters will actually have an S3 compatible API inside of them.
Wow.
Powered by the CSI implementation. So that's going to be quite a nice change when that drops. So you won't even need to hoop in Minio or CWDFS or any of these other ones.
That's very cool. I like it. All in one place.
Yeah. Kubernetes is,
it's growing,
a huge project, but it's always improving, always improving.
So Promtail is not happy.
It's currently being restarted, so.
Oh, okay. Readiness probe failed. And the pending one's the API, which we don't care about at the moment.
Yeah, we'll just need to wait for the Helm upgrade to finish, which it now has. Promtail is running, but not happy just yet. And if we run get service, we have Loki Gateway headless, and Loki Gateway memberless. So we have the right service name through a hacky means, but I'm going to take it.
Okay.
So let's run logs on our Promtail, see what's happening. I'm going to delete that pod and see if it nudges it along.
Dean has also contributed to NASA as well. So Dean, you're contributing some awesome projects. I need to kind of have a look at your PR and see what you did so I can contribute to NASA as well. Definitely a good claim to say, hey, I contribute to NASA's projects.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that there's a whole bunch of people out there with that achievement badge for having their code on Mars. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that is very cool.
A new pod ID.
Let's see.
And this looks happier. Nope. Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, it's green. It's definitely green.
Yeah, but this says context deadline exceeded when it was pushing logs to the Loki client.
By the way, Carl, if you're watching, the API is not deployed because it needs some environment variables that I need to do.
All right, we might need to go to a backup plan.
Plan C. Okay, so we did Plan B, which was the full name override. It's great that you've got a Plan C though. That's really good.
And what's going to? Yeah, I'm trying to work that one out. Let's see. Let's go with. So there are a whole bunch of ways to get logs into Loki in a Kubernetes cluster. Promtail is the Grafana supported way. Like that's what you're supposed to use.
Okay.
But again, I don't want to spend all my time debugging.
Yeah. Vanilla way is always a good place to start.
I'm now finding other blogs that tell me just to use Loki service name and Helm install Promtail, which is starting to get quite annoying. So now I want to make sure that this service is actually working because we didn't actually check the endpoints. So let's try this. And Loki Gateway does have endpoints, so it is working. But Promtail is not. Let me check the logs one more time before I go down a rabbit hole. Oh, it's pushing to the wrong port number. So you can see here it's trying to dial the service IP on port 80. But if we take a look here, our endpoint is 3100, but maybe the service redirects that. Let's check. Let's describe SBC, Loki Gateway.
Thank you. So you're the one who's watched all my videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, this is a port number mistake. So our service is running on port 3100 and it's trying to push the Loki Gateway on a different port. So we're going to make one more change before we go down. So there's, like I said, there are loads of tools. I used to work for a company called InfluxDB, and we have a tool.
Yes.
There's a tool from that company called Telegraph, which is also an open source metrics and logs collector that can write to anything. And Loki is one of the supported targets. So if we really need to, we'll go down that route. And I'm very comfortable with the tool. But now that I know what the problem is with this service and this Helm chart, I'm confident-ish that I can fix it.
It's a shame it didn't default to the default port.
Yeah. I just need to work out how to configure this. No, I guess we already modified the Loki one. So I wonder if I can just actually change the port specification there. So let me have a quick look at the template. Cluster port. Port, yep, values, services, port. Let's do it. So
let's do it. I like that sound of that. Let's have a look.
Services, port 80, and go. So this is now going to tell Loki to make our service available on that port number, which hopefully makes Promtail a little bit happier. And if we can get some logs shipping before on the hour, I'll be a very happy man.
Nice. We've got 6 minutes. What do you all think? Is it going to work? I'm confident. Definitely confident.
All right. I mean, I could have just edited the service actually, and just changed the port and tested it. But we'll do the Pulumi up. I'll stay a good citizen of infrastructure's code for now. And it'll just take a wee moment. Upgrades can sometimes be a little slow.
Okay, there's just so many moving parts. I think it's definitely one of those things. It's easy when you know how. Really, really gets easy when you know how. Or you've done it a couple of times. Did it work? Did it work?
So let's do our describe on the service.
No.
No. All right. So I will just modify it. I'll work out what didn't work. I get you. It's probably just more broken documentation. So we want this available in port 80. The endpoint is still correct on 3100. What we're hoping to see now is that Promtail hopefully isn't going to get any more context deadlines, but again, I'm hoping so. Let's see.
Let's have a look.
So that might take a minute. So what we can do just now is try and hook Grafana up to Loki. So why don't we do that?
Let's do that. What's involved? I have no idea what's involved. So I'm looking
just go to the web UI. We're going to click Add Data Source and see what happens.
Oh, okay. Web UI. Add,
yep.
That's that panel. Is that data source?
Settings cog, bottom left.
Okay. Wow, my internet started. I should have clicked on this like half an hour ago. Says once it works, never touch it again. No, we need to fix it with the code, so therefore I can rebuild it and move it to a different provider if I want, and all sorts of other different things. So
yeah, I'm going to look up the port number modification just now so that is repeatable without a manual edit. So I'll do that while you wait on Grafana. Okay. So just do add data source. It's going to guide you through it. You want to add Loki.
Loki. Okay, let's do it. Click. Name Loki. Sounds good. URL. And for this URL, what do I put? It'll be
that is Loki http://Loki-gateway port 80. Well, you guess you can omit the port because it's not required. And you can there's a test button at the bottom.
No auth, nothing else like this. Okay.
Nope. Save and test.
Data source connected, but no labels received.
I'll take it. That'll do it. All right.
Okay.
We've added the data source at least. It just means we're not getting any data out of it yet. But I haven't seen any errors on my side.
Do we need to try and create an error?
No.
Okay, good. Just checking.
I am mildly confident that things are currently working. So let's cause some logs.
That's what I meant by let's create an error. That's what I meant. Let's create some logs. Sorry.
So let's restart. Can I just link free right to standard out? Is it going to have stuff?
It's only a front end project.
But starting up, it would have logs, right?
Oh yes, it would. You're right. Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. Okay, so let's just delete that pod.
By the way, this is not the live link free at the moment. If your profile is on there, it's still going to stay live. This is a new environment we're building.
The problem with this here in the VS Code was I put services instead of service. So
I see. Okay.
All right, so let's go back to Grafana. We're going to go to the Explore tab, and we're going to see if we got anything trickling in just yet. So that's the four data. That's the one on the next one down under the 4 dots.
Oh, this one got you. Okay.
And if you click on the label selector, the choose.
Choose, yeah.
Down a little bit. All right, click on app.
Oh, at the top, yeah.
Yeah, just click app. And then you can select the value on the right. We should see stuff from the cluster, which we are. Let's use link free.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And then click query.
Run query.
And we have logs.
Yes. It's got colors and everything. And expand. Oh, yes. This is great. I can make it a bit bigger for people who are watching.
There you go. Centralized logging in about an hour.
But that's pretty cool. Centralized logging, right? So all our apps will log to this one place, which I think is awesome. And we can filter by different apps as well, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, I'll leave some comments in our values here. So, we don't really want to override the name or port. Instead, we'd rather understand how to configure Promtail. The docs are incorrect.
The docs are.
So there's some green squares for people if they want to spend a bit of time going through those Helm templates and understand what we didn't catch, then hopefully we can clean this up. We don't really want to hard code a service name. We want it to be more dynamic. We don't want to be changing the port. We just want to be able to configure PromTail the correct way. So yeah, that'd be a good task for someone. And if someone doesn't get to it, I'll get to it at some point.
Thanks.
All right, what's next?
I'd love to see if we can get access to this for certain people. How is it possible, do you think, to do Telegram in the time that you have left? Not Telegram, teleport. I have never done it. I haven't watched the videos yet, so I actually have no idea.
Well, you don't know until you try, right? So let's go brave.
Okay.
Let's create our teleport. I mean, teleport is also a Helm chart. So the bit I'm not worried about right now is deploying that Helm chart. The tricky bits with deploying teleport instead of a Kubernetes cluster is, well, we can certainly get it running with local users. That I'm pretty confident we can do right now. My biggest concern is configuring the GitHub authentication on a live stream, because there are some secrets that we just don't want to make visible to people. So I think maybe if we focus on local users just now, and then offline we can add the GitHub authentication component. So.
Okay, sounds good. Carl says, why is link-free logging an error? That is very true. It was working earlier because I have got a temporary domain that I've created, link-free.eddiehub community.org, because I was using that for the new cluster, so we could just create and destroy the DNS. If I refresh that, it does work. So what? I don't know why it is logging an error. Because did it die? Is it the new?
No, that's because I sent the delete sig term. So when you delete a pod, Kubernetes controllers send a sig term. They give the pods 10 seconds or 30 seconds, depending on how it's configured, to exit nicely. And if it doesn't, it sends a sig kill, and that error message just meant that PromTail was working when we killed it, and that's why we're seeing that.
Okay, so there's no error. We're okay. And it is up and running on that domain that I said, the temporary domain. It's obviously up on the proper domain, but it is up and running and it is working.
Yeah, so, in fact, let's take a look at something cool in Loki before we disappear onto teleport.
Okay.
Let's change the app, because you don't output your logs in JSON, but it's a really good idea to output your logs in JSON. So let's take a look at Stellium. I think we'll have so at the top, and then run query.
Oh, what's this? How cool is that?
That's currencies over time. So how many logs we've had in certain buckets. No cool. JSON here. Let's change to something else. Let's look at Loki there. Look at Loki itself. It must do JSON logs.
We hope so. Must set a good example.
There we go. That's not JSON.
No, it's escaped pipe JSON. What about Mongo?
Oh, I have no idea. It has a really cool feature where you can actually process and filter on JSON values. There we go.
Mongo has it. Yes.
So if you go to the query builder at the top, in fact, you can use the UI, right? I'm not going to teach you logql in under 5 minutes. So, but you can click the plus on any of those fields, and it will drill down onto just those fields.
Oh, we see.
So you can really start to work with the data. But what's really nice is that in the query builder, if we click on code on the top right instead of the builder.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Click that. Okay, so this is now our logql query. Let's delete that bit on the end.
This one.
Yeah, delete, and then type JSON on the pipe.
Yep.
And JSON FMT.
One word?
Yes. JSON FMT. Format, one word. I think that's log. No, I thought it was JSON. I can't remember. Try log format.
Without the JSON or still with JSON?
Maybe I think it's actually log format or JSON, and then click run, and it should process all of the things so that you can slice and dice them. Oh, it's a bit. Oh no, it's not being able to process everything. Yeah, try JSON instead of log format, and if that doesn't work, we'll forget I was going to show you this.
Like that, or with
just JSON. Yeah, let's just try JSON. I can't remember now. Live pressure.
Oh, that works. Didn't complain.
Yeah, but now once you've got it, that JSON, you can then pipe in, and then you can start to do JQ style filters on the data and start to work with it.
Do you still need to use JQ, or can you? Does it?
No, it's got its own query language, so you can you can start to say just filter on certain indices, or where length of things are greater than this, or where certain words are mentioned. It's got regex filters.
Got you.
There's too much for us to cover just now. But
Yeah,
once you're
absolutely.
into that logql flow, there's just so much you can do.
And I do have a video on JQs. If you want to learn a bit more about the filters that you can use and that cool stuff, then that is pretty good. But I think even as a basic, just looking at the standard stuff, you can even filter by unique, which I think is good. Or you can pretty JSON it as well. Okay. See again, maybe logging as JSON is a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it's called, in Kubernetes landscape at least, it's called structured logging. And it's what we encourage every application to do, is to write all your logs in JSON, adopt a common format, and it just brings a lot of power to your infrastructure. So maybe there's another good green square for some people. They go and modify and use JSON output and link free. So.
Yes, if everyone can go, or someone can go and share these green squares, raise an issue in all the EddieHub projects to say logging, add logging with maybe Winston, as Carl suggested, and also include maybe JSON format, and that could be quite interesting. And should we standardize the format across all our apps so you get like a title and a message and a body or whatever it is? Should we come up with a standard?
Yes, you should definitely come up with a standard.
Okay.
If you're struggling for one, then there is Cloud Events, which is the actual message standard, not just for logs, but for like communication between all services. But it actually works really well as a standard for output and logs as well. So you can always take a look at Cloud Events. So your application actually emits events that happen in your application, and then those can be processed and aggregated and get metrics and so forth.
Okay, nice. Okay, I have to look at it later on. Thank you.
All right. Let's get this done.
Oh, I've missed some in the chat. You carry on working. I'll need to add log storage limit in chart, or we end up using the volume. I'm guessing that might mean something to David. I'm guessing you don't want to use the entire volume data. What? So it would it be a rolling window?
Yeah, so Loki has a retention window. So the logs, I think, are kept for 14 days by default, but it is configurable. So yeah, you're all good.
14 days should be okay. Should be cool. But yeah, good call. Definitely good to be aware of that.
I'm just going to hit tab because Copilot's on it.
Nice.
I have no idea how much of that's correct, so we better check it. But okay.
Release, yeah, not chart. I remember that part. Hey, Niraf, how you doing? Hey, I didn't say hey, Sai. Say, how you doing? Hopefully I pronounced your name right. You're a bit late, but don't worry. We're doing some exciting stuff now. How do I pitch contribute to Pulumi code? Well, you can contribute to my project if you want. It's using Pulumi code. But to contribute to Pulumi itself, I'd definitely recommend looking at the GitHub projects, join their Discord or Slack that they have, and definitely join David's Discord as well. Lots of Pulumi conversations going on there as well. Oh, Dean has already answered that. Thank you, Dean.
So I'm just looking at the options on this chart, seeing what we need. All right, cool. That's the address there. So namespace, I'm not fussed about overriding that. We don't have any wildcard. Is your DNS set up as wildcard? It is, right? For EddieHub
It is, yes. It is,
Sweet.
yes.
All right, so teleport.EddieHub community.
Yes.
Now, we don't need to hard code this, so, to do.
Okay, that can be dynamic as well. Nice. Oh, yes, because it can come from domains.
Domain, exactly. I have a lot of red squiggles. What have I done? I've not finished the actual function call.
What's it missing? That bracket.
Is it not name? Bracket. Is it chart? I think it's chart. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so we're going to enable Acme. We want to enable Acme email so that we get Let's Encrypt certificate out of the box. We don't need to do anything. I'm just going to quickly scan and see if we need to configure this with anything else.
Okay, while you're doing that, I want to bring up the domain file so anyone wants to have a look. We've created a wildcard. So we didn't, I was originally starting to create, link-free dot and all, finder dot, live dot, and then Dean in the chat. This is Dean. I'll bring up the message. Suggested why not do a wildcard so everything gets routed through, and then our Nginx can decide actually where it goes. Does it match anything? So it's a really awesome idea. Less updates and changes and admin to do. So
this is actually an email.
And we will change this. Yes, they got to do on it because we will change this to probably the EddieHub.io domain, so it is shorter. But this is the domain that we're using at the moment.
Okay.
Should I fix my email, by the way?
Yeah, please do. I just guessed it.
No worry. Oh no. Yeah. Oh, I can't even tell my email. I haven't got an EddieHub email actually. I probably should get one. There we go.
All right, so I did scan the options on this chart. I don't think we need to modify anything for what we're looking to do today. So as long as that file is saved, we're going to go back to our index and we're just going to keep copying and pasting code. We're not doing anything fancy here. We're still just continuing to deploy Helm charts, but we're doing it with Pulumi. So
David says nothing fancy. This is all really fancy for me. Stuff. I'm like, wow. So yes, I usually copy and paste like commands and hope something works, but it's not repeatable because I get it to work and I try and do it like a week later and I'm like, it's not working now. So this is great. This is why it's definitely repeatable.
All right, that looks good. So we're going to run Pulumi up. It should just create teleport. It's actually going to modify and fix the service port. So we need to confirm that I haven't messed that up. But other than that, we should be looking decent.
And then will any logs come in now? Like, can I do logs? Any log? Oh, I've deleted that, haven't I? I've ruined that. I removed apps. I'm guessing I could add. So I want to remove node name, right? I don't care which node it is.
Well, we only have one node, so it's not a very good filter at the moment. So this is using Kubernetes labels to detect the applications. This is why it's nice to have consistency across that as well.
Got you. But could I search across all apps or that doesn't work?
You can remove that filter and hit run logs. It'll give you everything. I don't think you need a label selector to start reading. You might find that it's one label filter. Oh,
okay.
You're lucky. I'll do the node then, and that's everything, right? So.
Oh, okay. Yep, you're right.
Our namespace default would give you everything and most things in this cluster. So
I'll do. Yes, default probably gives everything that we've deployed, right? I think it'll be quite good.
Yeah, it's a large query, so it's just going to take a wee second, but there we go.
Oh yeah, it's still going. Cool. Okay, I'll leave that running.
Our production kube config disappeared.
I'm not going to open it, but I didn't delete it. It should still be there. Oh no, there it is. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't touch it. I promise. Hands are up here.
All right, let's just maybe that was just a wee blip.
I think it's a glitch in the matrix. It's been happening.
Config not found.
Did not find it.
Oh wait, am I doing something wrong? I don't think so. Oh, of course I am.
Oh, the provider. I was going to say it as a joke and I didn't say it. But at least now it's not touching anything with our other Kubernetes stuff. So that's good. Because there's no default, right?
Yeah, we disabled the default provider.
So that's good.
No, I don't know why it's saying config not found. I mean, the file does appear to be there, so hopefully the teleport will deploy. Hey, cool. That's fair. And I have a teleport stream about teleport 10 in 45 minutes.
Oh, interesting. Yes, someone mentioned that in the chat. I can't remember who it was. Where has it gone? Okay, so are you gonna do coding, or is it more of like a high-level overview?
It is a high-level overview of the new features in Teleport 10. So I'm joined by Ben from the Teleport team, and he's going to show us and guide us through the passwordless stuff that they've released as a technical preview. So you don't need to use passwords anymore for Teleport. It can use WebAuthn, which is like uses the secure enclave on your Mac or your Linux machine or even your phone and other stuff. So bye-bye passwords. That's the mission.
Awesome. Dean says they've got the bell on, but they'll probably be asleep. Yeah, it's already probably Saturday for you in Oz, Dean. Make sure you get some rest.
Well, yeah, it's like 5 a.m. in Australia right now, right? Like 12 hours, 11 hours?
It depends which part of Australia. I think when I was in Bali, we were for the west side of Australia. It was a similar time, so it's probably, I'm guessing, 9 hours, probably, maybe
Still
8 hours.
Yeah,
But
still
yeah.
pretty late.
Pulumi, you're still here. Awesome that you're still here. I know you're getting into DevOps stuff, so definitely join David's Discord, and you'll see lots of DevOps conversation going on there. Yes, bye-bye passwords.
All right, come on, Teleport.
Oh, yeah, GMT +8. So, yeah, you're 7 hours ahead. Okay, you like Bali time. 7 hours ahead of us because we're BST, not GMT at the moment.
Time zones, what a joke.
Oh, God, no.
Well, I don't mind waking up at 9 p.m. if we could just have universal time. Like, I'm okay with that. I will take that one for the team. I don't see why we still have, like, time is just a label, right? Like, we don't need, the day doesn't have to start at 6 a.m. for people or 9 a.m.
It's true. When I was in Bali, I guess same with Dean, all my meetings were like starting at 10 o'clock at night for like US time. And it was so hard because I'm a morning person. So difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be quite tough.
Yeah. Or it was either super early, like 5 a.m., but then it was like kind of after their working hours in the US. So they kind of didn't like it so much because 5 a.m. is okay for me. But yeah, so it was like 10 till 2 some days. That's interesting.
Yeah, it means you can't be sitting on the cocktails at 3 p.m. That's not good.
Yeah.
Okay,
right. So that ran. Okay, cool. Did that run? That did say an error. Did it say an error? Config not found.
No, it's fine.
It's okay. All right.
Okay, so we don't have any ingress, so we'll probably need to find an option to enable that, but we don't need that for right now.
Okay.
What we will need is a service. So we've got this one here. Oh, this is a load balancer service. All right, we'll probably want to change that.
Okay.
Because we do not have any DNS records pointed at this domain. So let's take a look at their chart and see how this is configured. They do not have a lot of options. But let's see what we can do. Service. All right, so we can override the service type, which means we can provide our own ingress. So that's exactly what we want to do. So we're going to pop into our values. This isn't quite right, but we could do.
Oops. I brought up the wrong window.
Values service type. And we're going to make this cluster IP. We don't want to pay for a second load balancer. That is a hard no.
That is definitely a hard no.
So we can remove that, which means we'll just need to provide our own ingress. And we can do that too. So const, in fact, I'm going to, let's just see what happens. Kubernetes.
Let's try it and see, definitely.
Oh no, it's under networking, v1 ingress. And you just remember the namespaces by pain and suffering, I'm afraid. There's no nice way.
But you get autocomplete there, right?
Yeah, you will. But there's a lot of namespaces. So like if you want to try and work through the thing, you got to go, all right, is it meta, networking, node, policy, RBAC, scheduling, settings, storage? Like, yeah, it's good to, at least if you roughly know where it's going to be, it's going to help. Metadata, name, teleport, thank you, Copilot, spec. Now we need rules. Rule has a host. HTTP. That Copilot's just going to do it all for me. No, it's given up here. There we go. What am I missing? So list HTTP. We need a backend, which needs a service, which is going to be blah blah blah. And does it need anything else? I can't remember. No. Okay. Why is that complaining? Is that an object? It is. Name and port. Okay, cool. So we need to fill this out. Again, in the interest of time, I'm going to hard code, but that is improvements if people want to make them. And the port is 443. Does that want a number? I think it does. No, you're just yelling at me.
Why is that complaining? What do I get?
Port name or number.
Number is not assignable to input service backend port.
Because they changed the spec. And it's this horrible.
Oh yes, I made that mistake the other day as well. Oh, now it's really complaining.
Now it's complaining because
Path type is declared here.
Prefix. No. Yeah, it is path. Okay. And path type is prefix. Cool. All right. That is an ingress object using the again. We've got some hard codedness here, so please feel free to fix stuff, people. If not, I'll get around to it as soon as I can. But let's just get this working. So we've modified the service. We're telling it to use this cluster IP. We could also provide the name here via the full name override. So that could be extracted to a variable and used in both places.
We did put to do on that. Let's do a to do on that because we'll forget otherwise.
And I'm just going to return the
Keep trying
chart.
to follow you. I'm stop following. Unfollow.
All right. I'm going to run Pulumi up to kick this thing off, and hopefully we can at least get into teleport before we finish up the session.
Awesome. Sounds good. This message, Pulumi, you have got the spanner. Yes, whoever's asking the question, I lost it now. Biased to join EddieHub org, go to the GitHub org, and there are steps on how to contribute to open source, join the org, like 4 or 5 steps to get started with the EddieHub community. Any questions, let us know. But should be clear steps. Maybe we can make those improvements. Let us know. Oh, config.
Provide.
Oh, we did it again. I think no one's paying attention. Provider, okay.
There is an open issue on Pulumi to set the default provider programmatically, but it's not currently an option. But I am looking forward to the day that is available.
Yeah.
All right. The ingress should apply to this cluster super fast.
Okay.
Your load balancer that was spun up should already have been deleted.
Check it out. Let's have a look. To networking, load balancers. I think it's already gone.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. Okay.
Which means we've got our pods, we've got our service. We should be able to browse to teleport.eddiehubcommunity.io soon.
Okay, sounds good. Oh yes, GitHub Copilot didn't suggest the provider. We should do actually. We've made that mistake so many times. Can I close some of these tabs? Let me close Grafana. Let's close Loki.
Yeah, go for it.
We can always open them again if we need them. And then, like you said, we should be able to navigate. So we've got Grafana running on localhost. Well, it's not localhost. It is running on the Kubernetes cluster, but we're port forwarding 8,000 into the cluster because we don't have teleport yet. And so you are suggesting I open teleport.EddieHub community. Let me know when I can hit enter. I'm gonna hit enter already. Okay,
So you remember why we get this message, right?
no, I don't actually.
I just added the code.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I fixed that on all our repos, by the way. But
so I'm going to control C or Pulumi up. It's never going to finish because that class isn't there. So this ingress will actually never get happy. So it would time out after 15 minutes. We don't have 15 minutes. So I'm control C'd it. We'll spin it back up and it will be much happier this time.
Got you. I thought that was just because I had old config. For some reason, I thought that was specific to kind of the way I had done it within the repos, whereas I thought this would just work.
No, so Kubernetes allows you to run multiple ingress controllers. You could have Nginx, Traffic, Emissary, and Contour all running at the same time.
And they'd run on the same load balancer, on the same physical load balancer.
No, they would run on, most likely run on different load balancers.
Okay, got you. All right. So you were saying, I interrupted you.
And now it's telling me that that ingress already exists. That's all right. Let's just delete it. And spin this up. It's just I control C'd it, so Pulumi was in a state where what happened in the world wasn't really there. So sometimes there's a lot. When you control C, you're taking on the liability of cleaning up whatever you have to clean up. So I'll do that.
Sounds good. Can't wait to refresh this. So what are we expecting to see on this domain?
The teleport login screen, which will not work until we create a local user, but we'll do that, get you access, and then offline, we can talk about the process. I think that's intermittent.
That's the internet blip issue that happens sometimes.
Yeah, and then offline, I'll give you everything that you need to set it up with the GitHub authentication. But I just, again, actually, we're pretty short on time, and we don't want to be flashing secrets. So let's just get it working first, and then we'll add it on. That's the nice thing about Teleport. You can set up the local user, then add GitHub authentication, and then remove the local user. So you get to work with it, whatever makes sense for you.
Nice. And just to make everyone aware that, what time is your live stream? Or
30 minutes.
Okay, so everyone, I'm going to bring up David's channel. And have you got a placeholder for the live stream already?
Yep,
yes,
right
you
there.
have. Let me share this in the chat. If you want to learn about the latest Teleport, I want to give this a thumbs up as well. Then go join in 30 minutes from now.
2 people waiting already. They're keen.
Exactly. So David's live stream on Teleport 10 with a guest from Teleport themselves. I've just shared that in the chat. Go give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to David's channel as well. I'm going to leave that open to myself. And bring it up on the screen. Yeah, so David's doing two live streams. Go and raid his live stream afterwards as well. But we'll give him, make sure he has a break between the two, so he can get a drink and have a break. Really,
I don't need breaks. It's almost a weekend. I've got all of next week off, so I am disappearing for 7 days after this.
Nice. So no laptop for 7 days.
No, once my kids are in bed, I'll always be working on something. I've got my own, you're building out your infrastructure with Pulumi. I'm redoing a lot of the automation for my YouTube as well in a very similar fashion. So I want to make some more progress on that. We talked a little bit about it earlier as we were hacking. I'm using Payload CMS. It's really cool.
You are using some cool tools.
So we've got our class. Let's reload that page and we should see.
Let's see.
Teleport.
New.
No.
I've typed it in right. Oh, I put .org. No, you put .io. No, we didn't spot that. That's .org.
Eddie.
Sorry. I think I was too busy finding your live stream link in my.
I'm going to just change it for save as at least 30 seconds.
The IO is on the short domain, but on the long domain, it's eddiehub.org and eddiehubcommunity.org and then eddiehub.io.
Try again.
Okay, let's do it. Oh, we're getting warmer or colder?
So now it's telling us bad gateway, which means that it's trying to route to this service called teleport, which is not called teleport. No, it's going to. Is that name changed? No, that name is not changed. All right, do we have endpoints on that service? We do have endpoints on that service. All right, let's test it with a port forward first. So we're going to debug the service.
8001, what are you thinking?
Yep, sure, I'll do it.
And then I can copy the forward that we have. Let's go, 8001. I think it's going to work. Oh no, I spoke too soon. I jinxed it. No joy.
No joy. Well, that explains why they were getting a 502, because if it doesn't work with a port forward, it's definitely not going to work. Which tells us that our teleport probably isn't very happy.
Can I see? Should be able to see that in the dashboard, right?
Oh yeah, we've got lots of errors. What's going on? Bad parameter. So teleport starting.
There we go, teleport.
Can't get a cert. Oh yeah, have we got it configured wrong up here too? The IO org bug. So teleport's trying to get a certificate and it can't get a certificate.
Got you.
So now we're in a weird state. Teleport is a stateful application. So what I'm actually going to do is remove it and then we'll redeploy it.
Okay.
Now I could do the upgrade, but I don't know if changing the cluster name is a good or a bad thing for teleport. And I think it might save us a few cycles if we just have it removed and then redeploy it.
Okay.
Because I don't think it likes it when you change the name of the cluster.
And those logs will also be in Grafana as well, won't they?
They will be, as long as I was still port forward into it. So.
No, I think the port forward is down, so I couldn't get it.
It's back.
That's fine. It's back? Okay. Where is it? There we go.
Yeah, so if you filter that app on teleport.
So I do app. Teleport. Let's have a look.
And then you'll see the Acme line.
Oh, yes. Error.
So we have deleted it. Now I'm just going to quickly check that there are no persistent volumes or claims for that. It's gone. Good. That means the reclaim policy is correct on the persistent volume. Yeah, we're good. So let's bring it back. So we'll come in, we'll redeploy, and let's just make sure this is right. So teleport.eddiehubcommunity.org.
Yes.
And the same here. Right. Okay. This service name is actually going to change. Let's just provide a service name. Let's come in here. How do we do that here?
Oh, let's follow David again and see what he's up to. Oh, I am following you. Very good.
It is the release name is the service name. That's actually really bad practice. I'll need to send them a pull request. So, I don't know if we can specify. Oh, that's the ingress. The release name. Let's see. All right. That should give us a service called teleport, which means that should work. And we might just get this working in the nick of time.
Sounds good. So everyone, what do you think of infrastructure as code? I know some of you who are infrastructure as code people will be biased and say it's good. Interesting for the web devs, like what are your, from your perspective, this is code that you're familiar with in terms of TypeScript. But what are your thoughts? They've got like an npm style thing with Helm. Add a package and configure it. It's quite interesting.
Uh-oh.
Was not successful.
Well, as long as the Helm chart deploys, the ingress may have failed because it's trying to reach the service that doesn't exist, and I didn't add the dependency. So.
So it might have like a race condition. Okay.
Yeah. Really, I'm sabotaging myself really awkwardly here. But.
Well, when we rush, we always make mistakes. So, yeah. Okay, so that is dependent on chart, which is up here. Yes, you don't want this to create until the other one is ready. Makes sense. Let's have a look. David, when you need to go for your next live stream, make sure you give yourself enough time. Actually, let me pin that. Pin your stream link. Give it pin message. Here we go. So I have pinned. We're going to raid David's live stream. It's in 23 minutes.
It's complaining. So the annotation's the old way of setting a class, and we do it this way. I should have read the error message the first time, so it will work this time. I mean, a teleport might not work, but the Pulumi up will at least work this time. And then whatever state we're in, we'll just need to accept, I think, and tidy up later. But I hope we'll be able to create that teleport user. That's what I want to be. I guess I should have checked that the service is there actually. With the deterministic name, it is perfect. That's good.
Sounds promising.
The ingress, which is creating. So if we run control get ing, you could maybe try the browser. It might work.
You forwarded it on as well.
I know. Just go to that one.
Still no.
Let's give it a wee second.
Let's see. Oh yeah, I see teleport's come up with the short name now, which is good. It says teleport. What else are we going to check? I think we've got some volumes have been attached now as well. We've got a few different volumes.
Yep.
Quite a few. Okay, this one's not attached to anything, so I could probably ditch some of them.
Yeah, that'll be the old teleport one. That one can probably be removed.
Okay, let's ditch it. I don't want to break anything that we're doing, but I'm not attached to anything, so I can probably ditch it.
All right. Teleport might be running.
Should I check it?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to try port forwards?
Yes, why not?
Hi.
Let me pull the logs from it. I mean, we could do that with Grafana, but I'll just take a quick look. Oh, we've got errors again. Okay, so it's saying that it failed to detect the connection protocol. I have never seen this error message before. I'll need to ask Ben before we go live on our next session.
That sounds good.
But I don't think it's us. It's now very much teleport that is being annoying. But it did get a Let's Encrypt certificate, and it was able to start most of the services. But then we're getting something's not quite right.
We did get centralized logging, which I think is really good. So everything is coming in one place, and it is happening. And we haven't exposed it for everyone who's watching. I'm doing it on localhost 8000 by port forwarding. We're not exposing this because we're going to use teleport to get the maintainers access to this. But it's not configured yet. So we will get that sorted with the help of David, because this is way above my pay grade. And we'll get it working, and then we can get the community access to it. But David does have another live stream to go to, which is pinned in the chat above. Do go check that out. It's in 20 minutes. Go support David. And thank you all so much for supporting us. I won't put too much pressure on David now. I'm keen for you to have a break before your next live stream.
Yeah, I'm currently scanning the config for teleport to see what we need to enable. But yeah, I think we'll fix this offline. So I'm disappointed, but we did at least get Grafana, Loki, and Promptail eventually working. I feel like we're close to teleport, so we just need to do a part 3.
Sounds good. Anytime you let me know. I really appreciate it. David, I will thank you afterwards if you can hang on for a minute. If not, just hang up and go. I want to bring up the just a countdown for a minute. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to David's channel, link in the description below, linked to the next live stream in 19 minutes, top of the chat. It's going to be continuing on Teleport, not on this project, but on actual with a guest from someone from Teleport themselves as well. What was their name? Did you say, David?
It's Ben from a Teleport team. Ben Arendt. Yep. Nice guy.
Awesome. So go and support them and learn more about that. Dean, go get some rest. Thank you for joining. Enjoy. I know it's Saturday for you already. Everyone have a great weekend. Yes, we'll chat soon. Any questions, you can ask in my Discord or in David's Discord as well. Everyone have a great weekend, and thank you so much again. David, anything else you'd like to add? David, before I bring up the screen?
No, it's been a whole lot of fun. I've really enjoyed this. So, we'll keep working on the EddieHub infrastructure. It's going to get better. And it's going to be cooler. So,
awesome. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.